Welcome back, my fellow duplicants, to Oxygen Not Included. So today we are going to be slaying the dragon. And what dragon is that? That is the sour gas dragon down over here in the bottom left of my screen. Made some progress here yesterday, and based on your guys' comments, you guys want me to essentially finish up the sour gas boiler, and then that will wrap up the last of this series. So just in case you're wondering, this is what we're going for right here. Essentially, we're going to use water that's going to go into this oil well down here, which is located just below this sour gas boiler, so it's right down here. Okay, so once we have the crude oil, we're going to heat it up and it will turn into petroleum. And then we heat that just a little bit more as we flash it into sour gas. And then once we have sour gas, we're actually going to use the temperature difference between the sour gas, which is all the way up here at 539 degrees Celsius, all the way down to 162, minus 162. That energy there is going to be recovered as we heat up the crude oil. And it's also going to be recovered as we heat up the natural gas, because once we heat up methane back into natural gas, it'll be cold. We're going to heat that up as well. Feed it to a bunch of natural gas generators here that will have a byproduct of carbon dioxide. And then also we will get water from that as well. That water will come out of the natural gas generators at a very high temperature because everything in there will be hot. And we will recover even more electrical energy using steam turbines here. And then if needed, we will filter all of that back into water, which then runs into the oil well, which makes this entire thing here run positive. So essentially we are generating free energy and a little extra water out of that entire loop. So that's the goal. That's what I'm going to wrap up here, and we can see if we can finish this thing off. Now, as far as my game, since it was built just before the version, the latest version of the game came out, I don't have those destinations that are a little bit farther out. If I can add the final void destination, I will add it. Otherwise, my plan B is just to launch my entire colony into space, and that will be via these 4 hydrogen rockets right here. You can see I have enough for 20 duplicants. So we're nearing the finish line, guys. We've made it a long ways. So these rockets over here, they continue to run back and forth to the nearest asteroids, and that's just bringing back more and more raw materials for me to build all of the insulation, supercoolant, and whatnot that I need in order to complete this sour gas boiler. One of the most demanding things that I've had to build down here is the liquid tapidizer. This is the low temperature limit for my gas. Yes. Sorry, for my liquid, for my supercoolant. The problem is that if this gets so cold, you end up in a situation where you can spend energy, but you don't actually reduce the temperature of anything. So you end up drawing all the power out, and you're not creating a positive reaction. So by limiting just how cold this can get to just above absolute zero, that allows me to run the system a lot closer. So if this ever goes below, let's say like 265 degrees Celsius, negative 265 I should say, then I'll let that thing operate. All right, so another crazy strategy that I have to work through here is that I need water down here. I want this to be steam. So that way my Aqua tuner here has a way to dissipate its heat. It will go up into a steam turbine, and that allows me to protect my equipment from overheating. This does generate a little bit more heat than it does cooling in this situation, slightly, so I do need to burn off a slight bit of that energy using a steam turbine. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go in here and I'm going to deconstruct. How do I want to do this? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and I'm just going to, no, I'm not going to deconstruct that. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to deconstruct the Aqua tuner down here. And then right over here, that's where I'm going to use a little Visco-Gel just to block any gas that's going in and out of this area. That way I can build what I need to build inside of there, because that needs to be a vacuum, but I need to have water in there so when things heat up, it turns to steam. All right, so I've got a plan. Now, as far as what asteroid I'm going to play next, you know, to me, the volcano one seems the most interesting. I like the idea of that really crazy looking volcano map. So I don't know, we'll have to see. The cold map might also be an interesting one as well. I think the hardest map would be the desert one, the one that they've actually moved to be the hardest. Although the only thing is that one doesn't necessarily look as interesting to me, because it looks like for the most part you're just not going to have resources. So we'll have to see here. We'll do a kind of a vote in the community tab and figure out what map I'm going to play. And I'll probably play the game for the first time without any special rules. I know, I haven't done that in like 2 years. But then again, we'll be playing on a special map, so that's fine. I don't really play the game normal. That's not my thing. Although technically now, not normal is normal because, you know, it's built into the game. Haha! Okay, hold up. Before I build that gas thing inside of there, let me go ahead and put a little water in there, because that's what I need. Oh. Okay, so the other thing is that I'm going to need some power to get this thing kick-started. Once it's started and everything's running, again, it's going to be a positive power flow, so it will be self-powering and I don't have to worry about it. But until then, it will take a little bit of energy to get kick-started. Now, I have plenty of coal, so I think I will just use the good old coal generator just to make it happen. Matter of fact, look at all of this coal right down here. I could just dig the floor out and use that. I could see this being really messy. Let me do something a little bit different here. I'm going to get rid of this first door and just build a tile right there. That way I can build up some water. Alright, so there we have it. Wow, I've got a lot of steel now too. Alright. What are the temperatures down here? You know what? They're not bad at all. Here, we'll even leave the water down there. Okay, so that's one big wire. Ha! There we go. Visco lock engaged. Okay, so I noticed this over here. I remember in the past I thought the thermal nullifier actually had a limit on how cold it would get, but wow, I didn't think it was this cold. Look at that, minus 139 degrees Celsius. That actually has some of my pipes so cold that some of the water can freeze inside of them. Something to keep in mind. Let's take a look to see just how many pacu fish I still have. Look at that, I have 59 pacu and 18 pacu fry. So that's continued to build up more and more, so that's nice. Oh no, but there's one just flopping around. Oh well, that one escaped. We'll have to turn that one into an early meal. How many shine bugs am I up to? Ooh, that's a good question. Holy moly. It's over 100 in that spot. That one's a little bit less there. I think I have, what, 30, 40 something? 77 down there, so they aren't really all that even. And then 81. So, I guess the answer is I have a lot, don't I? However, if I take a look at the room overlay, you can see that I've actually reduced the amount of critters I have. I have 471, so I'm about 30 down from where I was before. I've actually stopped bringing in more and more shine nymphs over here, just because I felt like I had enough already. Okay, so I've got a good amount of juice down here. That's ready to rumble. Let's go ahead and lay some wires out so that I'm ready to plug things in and get things running. Right now, that's only 1,330 watts, so that should be easy to run. But there's going to be more equipment down here, all those natural gas generators and whatnot. So the next thing I'm going to do here is I'm just going to run the gas pumps that'll pull a vacuum in this area. So let's go ahead and get rid of, well, once I get enough water here, let's go ahead and make that higher priority. Get enough water in there, then I'll get rid of that, pump all of the gas out of there so I'm left with a vacuum. I have 3 doors here so that I can create a, well, since it's going to be a vacuum, it actually shouldn't be an issue, but I was thinking I'd have 1 door in the middle just to pull a vacuum in between those 2 doors. Okay, so I'm just going to deconstruct that little bit. So this pump here will pull a vacuum in that area. Again, this isn't, I don't think this one's completely necessary in there. I should be able to get rid of it via liquid as well. I could actually just condense things and pump it out, but there's a good chance I'd end up with solids down there, so, you know, let's just pump it to begin with. Let's see if I can do the same sort of Visco-Gel trick over here, just so I can get into this area and actually start to work inside of this whole thing in a vacuum. So I will deconstruct this bit and make my Visco lock right there. This will end up double layered because this is actually going to be hot stuff inside of here. So I expect the output temperature to be around 70 degrees Celsius when we get into, you know, the natural gas in this area. However, near the top of this will be roughly 300, and then we'll see 400s and up here in this crude oil area. So I'll definitely want to have this stuff isolated. Also reminds me, I gotta make sure that this is the right material up here, and this liquid valve is not. That needs to be thermium. That sweet, sweet Visco-Gel, bring it in. I love that stuff. It's so good. Look at this. Look at this vacuum. All right, how much water do I have up here? 696. I want that to be more like 2,000 kilograms, so I'll keep that a nice high priority for now. A little extra thermal mass. Yeah, go a long way. There we go, yes. Hopefully you guys are having a good week here, enjoying the game, enjoying its release. Oh, that zoom out. All right, so it's time for a new duplicant here. Nazgurn, welcome to the base. And thank you so much for being a Patreon supporter. All right, so I've got room for 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 more duplicants after this. So I figure I might as well just max out the amount of comfy beds I have. A lot of this really isn't plumbed up, but you know what? I've set some of this stuff down here to be public instead of for a specific duplicant. So it should work out. Everybody just kind of shares various resources. I'm not too worried about that right now. There's a little bit more water. They bring in, gosh, that wasn't very much, Oz. Oz! You want to bring some decent amount of water next time? I put this here. I put it here just for you. Look at that, 6.6 tons. It'd be easy to bring all that over there. There we go, Bubbles never disappoints. Boy, what? 1.7? Dupes? You're leaving me dry. All right, you know what? That's good enough. We've got like over 1,000 kilograms down there. That should be sufficient. Yo, Bubbles, you forgot to sweep. Come back, Bubbles, come back. Sweep. Oh, uh-oh, there we go. All right, there we go. Now that's all set and ready to pull a vacuum. And looks like we're doing pretty good down here as well. So, all right, so it looks like I might need to manufacture a little bit more Visco-Gel. So I'll come on over here and queue up a little bit more of that. I was actually running this thing so much that once again I was burning up my dupes. I guess it puts out a decent amount of heat if you continue to run tons and tons of, you know, thermium and stuff. I'm also just going to need a lot of supercoolant, so I might as well just keep building that. I should be all right on thermium for now. I took a look at just how much I have there. Yes, I have 1,000 kilograms. Maybe I want a little bit more. How are the temps doing inside my base? Ooh, look at that. Isn't that nice and cool? There's some new bundles available on Humble. One of these is Data Analysis and Machine Learning by O'Reilly. These are written learning references such as Deep Learning Cookbook, Applied Text Analysis with Python, or streaming systems, like a fish. Purchase of any of these Humble bundles will not only go to help support a charity that's connected with it, but since I'm partnered with Humble, it'll go to support the channel as well. Thank you so much for your continued support, guys, and have a wonderful day. All right, so that's all a byproduct of this thermal aqua tuner system over here. So as you can see, things are almost chilly 16 degrees Celsius inside my base. I could probably let the base heat up a little bit more. I'll set that to 20 rather than 18 degrees. All right, so while that stuff is in setup phase, I'm going to have to go down here and I'm definitely going to have to tap into this oil reservoir. Now this does function at a higher temperature, so you kind of have to be careful of that. So I'm going to use the oil well down here. I'll use steel, slap that down there, and then as we pump in water, 2 things will come out of this. Natural gas and a bunch of crude oil will actually drip out this side. As you can see, we got plenty of crude oil. But you can build the floor out of something a little bit different underneath this reservoir, unlike some of the geysers where it's on neutronium. In this case, we can build a mesh tile, and that way the liquid just drips through it. And then down below, essentially just hook it up to a pump, right? Liquid pump. So I'll build that down here. Now, it's always a good idea to make sure that you have a filter on this system. Even though it isn't the most efficient way to do this, I think it's probably the smartest and definitely the easiest. Oops, don't want to build it out of that. Want to make sure I'm using higher temperature materials. But the problem is you can get a little bit of steam down there, and you don't want that mixing in with the crude oil. So I think a few watts to pay is a small price, compared to throwing the wrong thing where it doesn't belong. Doot. We'll box that in. Who's getting cooked? Oh, yes, see? That's what I was talking about. My dupes over here, they get cooked next to the molecular forge. My poor dupes, they've been getting cooked this whole base. Even though the base is nice and chilly, so. Oz, there you go. Put a band-aid on it. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Don't worry about it. So this is the one piece of equipment that requires a little bit of duplicate time. So everything else here just runs normal, doesn't require any extra effort once you get it up and running. But you will have to empty this oil well if you want to use the oil well. There's other places for me to get crude oil as well. So I can actually draw for this system from something like a leaky oil fissure. Alternatively, I can also get crude oil just from natural reserves inside my base. You can see I have plenty of that. And we have in the past looked at using slicksters, but they really do not produce much crude oil for the amount of slicksters you need. So I did test that. It really wasn't worth doing. But you do get a little bit of food out of it. I think it was a ratio of 1 duplicant's time for about enough to feed a total of 5. So you kind of get 4 duplicants fed for the 1 duplicant you spend. Oh, and if you hear a lawnmower in the background, well, my neighbor's running the lawnmower. Sorry about that. I have to record now. I don't have any other options. Okay, so inside of here, I want to make sure I have a hydro sensor. That way I can use it to automate just how much crude oil I have down here. I don't really need to build up a lot of extra crude oil. Dupes! I managed to catch 2 of them. Oh no! No! No, dupe! There you go. Be free. Victor. Victor. Don't do that. There you go. Well, that's better. Okay, so this automation signal here, that will just allow me to run the pump when it's efficient. You know, once you get a certain amount down here, we can enable it. This should mostly just back up and be full all the time once it's up and running. If I set it up a little bit higher, then that can give me kind of an overflow limit so I don't end up bringing too much in here. This can shut off my water and I can go and send water elsewhere. The same sort of thing inside of here is going to be needed for the gas system. So I need a way to pump the natural gas that gets released out. And I also want to make sure I don't end up with steam. So again, I'm going to use a gas filter. So then I'll dump anything that isn't natural gas. Whoa, 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 whoa. Not like that. Oh my gosh. Ah. Okay. Take 2. I will dump that just off to the side because I don't need it. But I want any of my natural gas to go up into the system up here. Sorry about the lawnmower noises. My neighbors has somebody mowing the grass. Unfortunately, I need to record now, so we'll just kind of have to deal with it. All right, so we'll snake this guy way up and over there. Oops, I took my eye off of the bottle emptier here. One big problem you can have here with the Visco-Gel is that if you build up too much of it, since it keeps stacking in the same spot, you can definitely overpressurize a tile and cause it to break. And that's what I have going on here. So I will deconstruct the tile above it and hopefully save that bottom one from breaking and having to mop it all up and start over again. Looks like some of it's already made it past, too. Ah! Well, okay. That works, too. Okay, so I've managed to pull this to a vacuum, so I can go in here and... Can I deconstruct that? Not really. But I should be able to put a door here regardless, and that'll actually still work. It'll just look a little funny. And then get rid of the gas pipes, because I don't need those. Oh, Nazgurn. Oh, buddy. These new duplicants, they're so tragically slow. I know you just want to help out, buddy, but... You know... You're just a little too slow with that Atmo suit. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and put the thermal aqua tuner down here, just like so. I will connect that via the automation signal right over here. The next chunk of automation I need is right up here, and that is going to be for overheat. So if this gets too hot down here, I'm going to activate that, and we will dump the thermal energy through here into the steam chamber up top, which I've yet to build. So I need a thermal sensor inside of here. Louder lawnmower noises. Yo, Travaldo, bud, you're barely hanging on there. You should know better than to jump in a active volcano, bud. Alright, let's put my dupes back in the... They're all getting cooked. So check this out. Over 16,000 people are currently playing this game right now. That is awesome. Normally that number is right around 3,000. So maybe there's some new achievements as well. Because I haven't completed any of these either. Somehow. even though I know I've done all of these. Well, not all of them. I know I've done definitely some of them here. The Royal Flush. Replace all the outhouses and wash basins in your colony with lavatories and sinks. Okay, yeah. Cool. Alright, so I've completed construction down here. What I want to do is go ahead and make sure I get the oil and everything out of there. Everything's just kind of following the same path. Oops. Ah, that'll work. That'll be fine. Cancel liquid pipes. Let's make all of that just igneous. That'll be fine. Oh, I've got a little hole up there. That's why I haven't pulled a vacuum just yet. Whoops. Okay, so this is actually a really critical spot right up here, so I'm going to make sure to use insulation in that one spot. Because all of the heat, all of that transfer from liquid to sour gas happens right here. It's a very precise spot. I'm also going to open up this door so I can pull the vacuum for all of that too. Well, actually, you know what? We can make things go a little bit faster if we wanted to. Not that I can make everything else faster, but I can enable this stuff. I think one good thing to have down here, if I can build it, would be to have a transit tube access all the way down here, because the dupe does have to come down here to run that piece of equipment, and right now that's a really long, takes a long time to get down here. So I might be able to squeeze an access point somewhere up here at some point, but the idea is to have a faster way to get down here eventually. I'll put a Atmos sensor right up here just for the sake of being able to control it so that I don't constantly try to run this pump into a vacuum. So I can set that to 500 grams and then that will enable or disable this pump. Otherwise, these two things here would actually consume quite a bit of power and that would be quite inefficient. Bam! There we go. Now we're pulling a vacuum. This Visco-Gel is really, really useful stuff. I tell you what. That's probably one of my more favorite things that they've actually included back in the game, and it really was just an oddball thing that happened at one point. I don't know if it was actually an oddball thing that happened, but it used to be naphtha, or maybe it's naphtha. Anyhow, and that's still in the game, but we used to be able to stack it vertically, and then for a while we got rid of it, they got rid of it, but they brought it back in the form of Visco-Gel, which is just pretty fun. But for a while there, we were making like giant towers of this Visco-Gel stuff and then like putting gas inside of it. It does absolutely wild things as the liquid flops all over the place. It's not very reliable to do any of that sort of stuff with it, but I don't know. It was a fun thing to play with. And now, as we can see, it's really useful. Okay, so I just want to put this guy, the steam turbine, right up here. I technically don't need it to be any higher than that. But I'm not a big fan of steam like only being in one tile. I like it having two tiles, so I'll build it a little bit taller. Oh, Dupe, you made a mess. My gosh, look at all that polluted water. Alright, so I have to do the same sort of thing here. Once again, I will use a bottle emptier, some Visco-Gel, and a gas pump just to pull a vacuum inside of here after I add a little bit of water. So I want to make sure I want to have the water. There we go. We'll get rid of this polluted water so I don't get any of that polluted oxygen. That stuff's no fun. And the last and final thing that this thing does is just go right like that. Boom. And you know what? One good way to keep the temperatures down for this guy right here is just to make it self-cooling. So what I can do to make that happen is I just have a little section here of the radiant liquid pipe, and then I just use a little bit of the supercoolant I already have running around just to do its thing. So I'll reroute it just like that. So this will go up, and then that'll be cool, then it'll go back down. This will actually be really, really cold inside of there. So if I have the materials, if I can use insulation inside of here, that would protect it from potentially freezing. I think I need to build a little more. Okay, so one of the things that I'm in need of is reed fibers. So I think I will plant a couple of thimble reed seeds down here. Oh, gosh, not a couple, one. They take a ton of polluted water, but I will get rid of that tree. I don't really need that tree. I mean, look at how happy my pips are. Just pooping dirt all over the place. Mmm, delicious. All right, so I'm going to start to build up all of my power generators over here. And these are going to be made of steel because they're going to run at a higher temperature than normal. So these will actually output water that's so hot it'll turn straight into steam. And then at that point, again, we're going to use another steam turbine. Dump a little bit of Visco-Gel and a little bit more Visco-Gel. All right, so it's time for another duplicate here. Welcome to the base, David Sposetta. Thank you so much for being a Patreon supporter and helping this channel run. Big thanks to all my Patreon supporters, by the way, for helping me make this possible. All right, Stinky, I need some more petroleum. So yes, a good mod that we can add here now that the game is actually released, right? I think would be a canister filler for liquid. Like, I think that would be real handy. Maybe it's already out there. I haven't found that one yet, but it would kind of automate this little process. Look at this. I got like one dupe here running the machine, two dupes running liquid, one guy emptying pipes. It's so efficient. Way to be sweet, dupes. And a steam turbine that I'm never going to use. Hey, we did use two of them. Look at this one go. This thing has been an absolute champ. Like, I will definitely set this up in my next base. Recovering energy from refined metal is awesome. Bloop. Speaking of other sweet things in this base, sweeping everything into one spot. Awesome. How much do we have down there? Oh my goodness. 1,629. I don't know if that's per spot. No, yeah, maybe. I don't know. Definitely, that's a lot of material. The automated cooker contraption. This was amazingly fun to build as far as just like all the automation and everything I was able to cram into this thing. Not the most practical thing I've ever built. Definitely cool though. 10 out of 10 cool points. I would say 3 out of 10 for practicality though. Next time I'll probably just cook stuff and drop it into a pit. It tends to work pretty good. As far as the liquid cooling and all of this stuff, this actually, I mean, this works. And the liquid system, it does work. I think I will change this arrangement up a little bit here the next time I go to build it though. I've got some different ideas as far as how I want to cool down the liquid down here. But this arrangement does work. I mean, as far as the ability to keep bringing in gas and condense it into a liquid. So, there's nothing wrong with it. I just think I can make it slightly better. This arrangement up here was okay. Using solar light is not... doesn't seem to do too well with the grass. I mean, it's all right, but once you get natural gas in there with the gassy moves on top of it, the amount of light that was making it down to the plants isn't quite as much. So I think I might want to throw some shine bugs in there and offset that. Speaking of amazing things down here, the shine bug reactor. Maybe the most amazing thing in the base yet. Maybe. There is no shortage of like crazy contraptions in this base, is there? Look at this ridiculous gas machine down here. Like, I probably won't build this one again because, oh my gosh, the spaghetti. But, man, does it output the oxygen. Look at that oxygen. It's just flowing. Power distribution. All right, I might want to work on this one a little bit, but there's some fun ideas of making an infinite battery out of this stuff. Might have to explore that. I think the Venturi wart is pretty much dead, so we can get rid of that idea. Pacu fish was fantastic for food. Now that we have a blueprint arrangement, that actually might be a lot easier to set up. So I might do that. The slickster ramp, still slick as always. Tapping into a volcano down here, this actually worked out really good. And once we were able to get that ethanol in there, oh, that made a big difference. Although it did cook our base multiple times. Now that I actually dropped the temperature a little bit down here, these warts are keeping up with it, but I think I'll have to cool the steam turbine and using a different method in the future. But this arrangement, I'm a fan of that. That works. I like the sleeping arrangement, although it does take up a lot of space. You know, everybody having their own sink, their own shower, their own toilet or lavatory. I think if I want to build a bigger base and have more duplicants, I might want to, definitely do this, but not necessarily do that all the time. I can get the same sort of bonus. Speaking of sweet bonuses, this nature reserve is awesome. All right, there's like a lot of clever things inside of this base, isn't there? You kind of forget about it. I've been playing this one for so long, I don't remember all the cool stuff we went through. All right, so there's a couple more contraptions I need to finish up here in order to get this thing up and running. This stuff over here on the left is pretty darn close. I mean, my whole reactor, as far as to heat it up and cool it down, it's more or less just waiting for materials. The power block over here for all of the natural gas generators, all the power distribution that comes out of that's still needs to be set up, and then the water management is the one piece of equipment I haven't built. This down here is ready for water, so that's good to go. I think a little bit of Visco-Gel and I'll be ready. But you know what? I think things are coming together. I think things are looking pretty good here. We'll see if I can complete it here in the next episode. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this little episode of Oxygen Not Included. If you're new to the game, well, welcome to a massive chaotic base. Hopefully you are looking forward to this and maybe a little bit more content. If this looked like the channel for you, maybe considering that subscribe button. As always, stay awesome, guys. Peace. Brothgar out.